Hey friends, so I am just working on a automation for Echo Fish, which is my company, uh, and I just figured I would work, and you guys can follow along. So what I'm building is a automation in our systems to support an ad campaign that we are launching. In fact, we just launched it, and I have a few hours before Facebook basically approves the ads and makes them live. So they're in the learning phase right now. Um, so while the ads are in the learning phase, I actually need to connect the form and build the flow chart and everything. So I figured I would do this, and you guys can kind of follow along. I'll make sure to skip the really boring, tedious parts and just show you kind of step by step. But yeah, feel free to follow along. I think that this is going to be really useful for people who are using WordPress, Gravity Forms, Zapier, Go High Level Automation, and if you're running Facebook ads. So this will enable you to, when you're running those Facebook ad campaigns, be able to track where the leads are coming from. If they book on your calendar, making sure that's a seamless sort of journey for them, from basically clicking on the ad, filling out the lead form, and meeting the team and so on. So here we go. So we're basically starting from scratch. So I'm going to run you through basically what I have set up already, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to be building on the video. So 1 second. Okay, so when somebody clicks on the ad, right now we just have it landing on our website. So as some of you may know, we just rebranded. So and depending on when you're watching this video, it's August 4th right now. So we just rebranded, and we want to test out how our website converts. So the first thing that we do is throw a little bit of money into a Facebook campaign, and we don't build any landing pages or anything. We just send the traffic to the page that we want to see the conversion rates on, and we just test it with some traffic. So this is the page where we are basically offering a workflow sort of automation audit. It's a $500 process audit. And what you get is basically for $500, we will audit the entire system that you're using. So from sales, leads, your outbound automation, all the way through onboarding the client to fulfillment. So we basically audit all of those processes from start to finish, and we do it from both your side and the client side. So how is the client experiencing? How is the client experience, and how is your team getting information and that kind of thing. So we tend to ask a lot of questions in these meetings. So making sure that people are aware of this process is really vital. So this is so we audit, we identify all the problems in the system, and we mark them down, and I will actually show you how I do that. And then we quote to fix the full system. So we do make the $500 for the full audit, but then we do provide sort of like solutions that the person can follow themselves, or we offer, here's a quote and a timeline for us to do it if you want to go that route. So it's I feel like it's relatively straightforward. We have some copy on the page. Anyway, so that's the user journey. So they click on the ad, they land here. They can read through the whole page if they want, but all the buttons lead to the next page, which is this automation form. So there's a lot of friction here, right? As you can see, there's a lot of questions right off the bat. This is a big commitment for somebody who has no idea what Echo Fish is or what we do. So I actually fully expect a lot of people to jump around before they commit to anything. And I actually also fully expect to have to shorten this form a little bit. But let's say somebody goes through it. So we've got all this information already filled out, so they're going to move to the final step. Also, those buttons are not optimized, so I'm interested to see how they work. There's a problem with your submission. Please review the fields below. And this is why I test shit. Business website URL invalid. Business website gravityforms.com. Weird. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to fix that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually figured it out, and it wasn't that hard. Basically, I forgot to put the HTTPS in my URL. That's a novice mistake. Anyway, so I'm going to submit that. And the reason I'm submitting this is because I want to make sure that basically all the pages through the journey work. So this is the next phase. So basically, they've entered phase 1 essentially, and now we're asking them to book. So like I said, there's quite a bit of friction. So we start with how we want the process to go, and then we kind of figure out the red routes from there. So let's say that I'm booking, you know, on August 31st at like 9 o'clock, and that's my information. I always put in that it's a test because I'm not the only one on this calendar, so if one of my team members gets it, they know what the hell is going on. That's not an invalid phone number, how rude. Okay, so now it takes me to a thank you page where there's me speaking, and then it's also a onboarding automation flowchart, which, by the way, if you guys should already have this is actually going to be the process that we're going to go through. So that's great. So I've landed on the page. That's awesome. So this is the journey, right? So the automation that we're going to be building right now is the, when I submit that form that just happened, I want that information to do something on the back end. And right now that information doesn't do anything. It just goes into WordPress, the WordPress database. I get an email and that's it. Like, so that doesn't really help me very well. I have ClickUp, Slack, and Go HighLevel, and all three need to be connected to that form. So let's work on that. Okay, so first things first is before you start any building, you always want to have a plan. My ideal scenario of planning things, like the software that I like to use is Lucidchart. Because it visualizes the workflow for myself as well as for my clients. I find that my clients are oftentimes that when they see the visualization of the workflow, they feel more comfortable because there's something there that they can look at and analyze. And I'm a visual person, so I find that it helps me organize my thoughts. So I am going to work on this really quick, and then I will come back and show you what I've got. Okay. So as you can see, this workflow is fairly basic to the ones I've shown you guys before. This is usually how they start out, where I'm doing this basically off the top of my head with how I know that this should work. And there's no intricacies. I haven't been diving down into the granular details or anything like that. We will add to this workflow as we go, but this is just a generalization of what I want it to do. So the person comes in off the Facebook ads, they go to the process audit page on the website, they fill out the form, and then the information, what we need to build now is the information should pull from Zapier, pull into Zapier, and then it should go from Zapier into HighLevel, and also from Zapier into ClickUp. So there's those two main things need to happen. For the HighLevel, the most important one is that it creates an opportunity in one of the pipelines. And the other, there's a whole bunch of things that go on in this process. So I fully expect this branch to be built out as we go. And then as for the ClickUp one, this one is a little bit more straightforward because it's really just creating the prospect in sales, in the sales folder for my ClickUp. And why I have you might be wondering why I have information on two different areas is because I have my fulfillment team in ClickUp and then I have a sales team in HighLevel. And making sure that communication is the same across both departments is really important, especially once the client gets onboarded, because then you don't have the sales team suddenly trying to remember, okay, these are all the conversations that I had. It's, they get all the information at the same time that the sales team does, and that information is being actively reviewed. So this is how we would basically plan this out from the start. So I'm going to go on, and as I was talking, I actually thought about a bunch of other things I need to add in here, but as we build that out, so basically when we go into the HighLevel one, and we're going to attack this one first because this is more complex. There's emails, so basically when they submit that offer, when they submit the form, they go to a page that books in a calendar, and that calendar is actually hosted in Go HighLevel. So as soon as they book on that calendar, the salesperson should get an email saying that the appointment's been booked. but the information from this form should go in that email so that they're aware of what the email and what the meeting is going to be about. Because we do have multiple different offers, and I don't want the salespeople going, who's this person? Where did they come from? What am I talking to them about? It would also be very disappointing for the client to spend the time to fill out all that information just so that they can get to the meeting and they're all excited and stuff, and the salesperson knows absolutely nothing about their business because nobody took the time to review the form or pass over the information. So in order to eliminate that friction, we're going to build it into the system. So come with me over to Zapier and we're going to get started. Actually, no, we're not going to Zapier just yet. We're going to go HighLevel first. Okay, meet you there. Okay, so I'm in my Go HighLevel, and the first thing that you're going to want to do is create a dedicated pipeline to your campaign, and you're going to label it your campaign. If you're unsure how to create pipelines, all you have to do is go into settings. I'll just do it with you. Go to pipelines. And then you can create a new pipeline, and when you create a new pipeline, it's going to ask you for a title and then stage names. So what I do is I go through like what are the different stages that the person's going to enter into. So we have one stage where they've submitted the form, but they've submitted the form and haven't booked that call, because if you remember, they submit the form, they go to a page where it goes, okay, you're in phase 1, and then it asks them to book a call. There could be a percentage of people who just don't notice that or don't book it right away or for whatever reason, and so they don't book the call. So they're going to end up in this, I want them to end up in this submitted form pipeline, but not the book call pipeline. As soon as they book that call, they're going to end up in the book call pipeline. That's sort of the second stage. And then when we talk to them, they'll either end up in one of these 4 categories. So I'm sure that there could be many other stages. I like working with 5 or 6. I try not to make it overly complicated, just because I find that it can get really messy, and then people, just managing the leads, there's a point where you over organize. So this is good for now. If I need to change it later, I will. So I've created my pipeline. My calendars are already set up, and calendars are a whole other shit show. We're going to go in there, one of these days, just not today. And then so I'm just going to go into my automations. So let's go into, there we go, automation. So I've got a number of automations in here. This is the one I'm working on. I duplicated another automation so I didn't have to build this all out from scratch, because this took me hours. But basically, when the customer books the appointment, so this is the workflow trigger. So the customer books an appointment, you're going to select the calendar that you want. So we have a number of calendars on here. We're going to select the team calendar that we have on that page. So we're going to save that trigger. After they book an appointment, they're going to get assigned to a user. So basically, the users are going to be assigned equally, and this is all based on who they book with. It's a round robin calendar setup. Then they're going to get a tag added to them, and the tag is going to say booked, so that we can filter, but we also want to filter for the campaign. So automation audit is going to be the tag that I've chosen to filter. Then there's going to be different stages. So on this, it's going to check for, it's basically saying, is it assigned to this person? Yes, no. Is it assigned to this person? Yes, no. And so on and so forth down the line. I'm sure that there are other ways to do that. This is just the way that I like doing it. So you only have to build it once and then you copy it over. It does become a bit of a pain in the ass when you have changes and you need to, you just have to remember to make those changes for everybody. And I'm sure there's little tricks that people are aware of that I might not be aware of. So if you have feedback, I'm totally open to improving my skill set. So here is the, so say that this is assigned to so-and-so. Yeah, it is. So now they're going to go into the next phase over here, which is it's going to create the opportunity. And that's in the pipeline we just created. So you select your pipeline, you select where they are going. So if you remember, our trigger was the appointment got booked. So this is going to go into booked call, not the form submission. You're going to add just calendar name here, and you're going to leave the opportunity name and the lead value blank because it's going to autofill, and then allow opportunity to move to any previous stage in the pipeline. So I also don't allow for duplicate opportunities because I don't want people, you know, sometimes they'll submit a couple of times by accident, or sometimes if you refresh your browser window and you're on the form submission page, it'll actually submit the form twice depending on what system you're using. So I don't allow duplicate entries. WordPress will create the duplicate entry, but this way the lead doesn't get in there twice, so it doesn't clutter our system. As a note, so this is just notes. This is just based on the form that they fill out. So this is, we're actually going to, these are different fields. We're going to create some fields for, this is where we're going to put the automation form answers that they wrote out. So I'm just going to create this as a kind of a template for now, like a stand-in automation form answers, and we're going to have to create some custom values, so we'll come back and do that. Oh, it's just going to yell at me, so I'm actually going to make a note about that. Okay, I keep track of little tasks that I need to do as I go along, so I'm not bouncing between things, but I don't forget anything either. So in this one, I believe I've already done part of it. So in this one, now the rep who's getting assigned to this person, in this case it's Nadim, is going to get an email notification. And I've titled the action name so that I keep it organized. It's an email. By the way, you're going to want to select internal notification, because if you select like contact and email or whatever, it's actually going to go to the client, so be very careful about that, especially if you're moving confidential information or internal notes. I just want to be careful that you're not pissing off your client by sending them you know, bad notes. Echo fish. So you're going to use the user type assigned user, new call, booked with. So I always title what the campaign is, where it's coming from, so everything keeps aligned. And then I usually have a template, but right now I haven't put any templates here. There is going to be a link in here, so we're going to include the link. I'm just writing that down. And notification. Okay. So basically, this is going to link to this, so that when they get this email, they can just click on it and go straight to where that is in the CRM. They don't have to bounce around. So we haven't created that note yet, and we haven't created the custom values yet. So we're going to go back and do that. Internal notification, though. So this is they're going to get a text message as well. And this is, so we have to change that. And my dog is crying. I have to take her out. One sec. Okay. So now we're going to do an SMS. Okay, there we go. I'll likely go back and add links so that they can just click onto things. So here is where we're contacting the client. So you're going to want to be really careful about how you build your email so that it doesn't hit their spam. We have ours built in HTML. It's got an unsubscribe and everything. So even though they've submitted their email, so they've essentially opted in to receive this notification, I always like to add that so that I'm compliant with basically all policies across the states, as well as Canada. So we are going to, well, I have to update all this stuff anyway. So it's going to be from their user email. This is, from our user email. So this will ensure that the contact information is the same across the board. So they're booked with Nadim. So Nadim is going to be sending it from, it's going to send from Nadim's email. And then this way they get the information. So I'm just going to go through and just double check that this information is fine, and then I will walk you through it. Okay, so it's with our old branding, so I'm going to have to update that. I'm going to do that another time because that's a little bit of a different thing. But as you can see, I just have to change out the logo. But the information is not going to change. It just says you're booked. It's got their contact name. It has a meeting link. You always want to include the meeting link and links to add it to their calendar. All of this stuff can be found in the email builder, by the way, in the tags. If you do have issues with finding that or understanding how those work, just let me know. And then having just like a little message. We do like to add links to case studies on our website. I'm gonna have to update that link because our website just changed. So there's a little bit of work that I have to do here. So email links and branding. Okay, so that's good. Then we usually have a waiting period. So we've sent them the notification email saying that the thing is booked. And then in the waiting period, we're going to have 1 day before, we're going to have another email get sent that is basically saying that your meeting is 1 day away. After that email, we have another email that gets sent that is basically talking about previous work. So it's a little bit of a priming email, and I like to do this if there's if these clients have not been with us before. So an email will get sent. It basically talks about like things we've done for our past clients that are similar, and it also talks about like access to this Facebook group, for instance, or any other kind of like endeavor that we have going on. Recently, we just sponsored an event called Digital Startup, and that was that's weird. Hang on. Okay, that was weird. I hit a button on my mouse and it went backwards. After the priming email is sent, we do wait a little bit longer. So we wait until there's 4 hours before the appointment. We send them another reminder. Then we wait 1 hour before the appointment. We send them another reminder. These are all customized reminders too. It's not the same email. So we usually have different case studies, different little bits of information. We constantly remind them of the appointment link and how to contact us. Then basically they get reminders all the way up until about 10 minutes before. And then we get an internal notification. So our sales team only gets the 10 minutes before the appointment and the one that it's booked, because they are, it's in their calendar, and I expect that they are watching what they have for the day. So they get an email that basically says like, this person has booked, they've come in off this. I'll likely put some information in here saying this is this is all their contact information. So I've got their hey, appointment's 10 minutes away. Hey, in this case it would be Nadim, your call's 10 minutes away with so and so, and the appointment start time, the meeting location, and their information. So I always put their name, email, and phone number in case they no-show for whatever reason or they're a little bit late. That way the sales rep can find this email and use it to contact them another way to see if they can get them on that Zoom call. We have definitely had clients where they just forget that they have a call, and then we phone them and we end up taking the call just on the phone because, they were 8 minutes late and we just called them. So that's always a good way to do it. So I'm just going to save that action. I'll have to go back and just add a link in there, but that's okay. And then so we have the SMS, which is basically the same as before. It's just saying like, here's the appointment information, and then now the meeting at this point in the timeline, the meeting will have happened. So there's a waiting period. So there's a 2 hours waiting period, and then another internal notification will get sent to the sales rep. And in this case, we have it where the sales rep gets like need stuff. It's basically, hey, by the way, did this show up? Did they not show up? If they showed, then they're going to click this link and get taken to basically a form in our Go HighLevel where they can submit their notes on how the call went. You know, this we may not need this this form for this particular automation, because, and I'm gonna have to think about that. The reason I'm thinking is because they've already filled out the automation audit form, so I probably don't need that. And this is usually better when you have like a longer nurturing period. Like in some cases, our higher ticket services are like, you know, 3 to 5 different touch points or meetings where we have to keep track of all these different meeting notes and things like that, and what was said, and deliverables that we said we would do. So in that case, it's way more important. But in this case, where we're just closing a $500 deal, and it's just a single sort of touch point, we may not actually need that piece. So since we probably don't need that piece, then updating appointment status and all this stuff is probably not needed. We are going to go through this when we build the onboarding automation, because this is actually a part of that, and this is where I've duplicated that from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all of this is copied over into here. So what I do is I just go actually let's just dump this right now. Whatever, let's just copy it all over. So we're going to copy all actions from here, copy here. Gonna have to remove all of this, delete. Should I delete this down? Looks like I'm gonna have to delete all of that. And it's not gonna let me delete the whole thing. Okay, I won't make you guys watch me do that. I'm just gonna save it, and we're gonna move on to the next step, which is creating custom values. Okay, so welcome to custom values in Go HighLevel. If you haven't used Go HighLevel's custom values before, then welcome to magic, because it literally is, it makes it so powerful. Basically what I use custom values for, and custom fields as well, is to basically match fields and custom fields from other forms. For instance, I have this automation audit request form that people are going to fill out, and in this request form it's got these sort of custom, sort of like beyond name and phone number, sort of custom questions in here, and I'm going to want to be able to track what is answered. I'm going to want to basically adapt all this information and put it into the lead file, so that all that information can be transferred over into different databases. So in order to do that, you have to create custom values. And then you can basically use those custom values to create triggers for other things. So if something gets filled out a certain way, or if the, in our case, we're going to be using it to basically port the information into an email that the sales rep gets, so that they can just see it before, and they can review that information before they go into the meeting. So that's how we're going to use it in this particular instance. Custom fields are very similar. And so you're going to want to do, basically what I do is I create a custom field first, and then I create custom values off of that. And in some cases, I create more custom fields than I do custom values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple, and then I'm going to show you what I did. Okay, so I've created one custom field from the form. The first thing on the form, it asks the business name. This is going to be really important. So I am taking the business name, and as soon as all I have to do is select what kind of field it is on the form. In this particular instance, it's just a text field. So I've selected text field, I put business name, and it's just a regular contact, and then I hit save. And then it's automatically going to give this sort of field key. So you're going to take this field key, wrong one, take that field key, and then you're going to go over to custom values, and you're going to add it as a custom value. So, well, if I can spell, there we go. So you're going to want to create the custom field first, and then the custom value. So now it's a custom value. So now if I have if I want to put showcase the business name that's entered in that form into an email or text message, or transfer that information anywhere, all I have to do is take this code and put it in the email text, like in the text body or the subject line or anything, and it's going to immediately port over that business name that was submitted in the form. So you can do this with any of the form fields in Go HighLevel as well. It works, so we're using Gravity forms on the website, so I'm going to basically use Zapier to show you how you can take these custom values and have Zapier transfer that information from Gravity forms to Go HighLevel so that it works the exact same way. So we're going to do that next. Okay, I just wanted to pause for a minute and show you guys something that I didn't think to go over first. So I'm busy building out all the custom fields before I get into Zapier, and I noticed that when you have a radio option that has an other option selected, so it's yes, no, and then other, and you allow them to type in whatever custom variable that you want in there. Make sure that you are selecting the radio option in the custom field, put the name of the field, and then under these possible values, you're going to go whatever possible values they can select. Sorry, I'm just going to remove the other. It's yes, no, unsure, and then I do have an other. So allow custom values is essentially the custom field's way of being like, is there an other? Should we port this into? So just so that you guys are aware of that little piece. Okay, I had to go and take an hour or two and walk my dog, so now I'm back. And so where I was at was, excuse me, created the custom fields, created the custom values in Go HighLevel, and now we're going to be working in Zapier to build the Zap. So if you remember, we were creating our blank diagram, and we had to create the opportunity in the pipeline. So we did that in the Go HighLevel automation, and there's a bunch of other little steps in here that I'm going to be adding in when I do my testing. And now I'm basically going to add in the Zapier piece. So if you notice, I've built this side, I've built this side, and now we're going to build the Zap after, because we want to connect the two. That's really all you should think of Zapier as, is just connection tools, but make sure that you build the others first. That's how I've thought of it anyway. So the trigger here for the Zapier is going to be the Gravity forms being submitted. So we're going to go ahead and create this Zap. So we're going to always title your things to keep it organized, but automation audit form submission. Submission. Okay. And I don't know if you guys know how to add Gravity forms. I already have it connected to my Gravity forms, but if you run into any issues on your end with the resting API and the instructions to connect them, I do have a video in the troubleshooting side of things where it goes over how to connect Zapier and Gravity forms. So go ahead and check that out. It goes over some of the errors that you might get and how to fix those. But if you don't run into any issues, then you should be where I'm at. If you do run into any issues that you can't figure out, feel free to DM me. So we're going to select the form. I have a couple of different forms on here. I'm going to select that one. Admin field labels. No, it's fine. unique name. Automation audit form. And so if you remember earlier, I made a test. We submitted a test in the form. That's going to be essential for picking up the test trigger. I find that I like making my own tests. So as you saw, I think this is my test that I already submitted. So we're going to keep going. Okay, so now the Gravity Forms submission is in there. Now what we want to do is we want to link the submissions to Go HighLevel. So lead connector is the Go HighLevel resting API thingamajig. So we are going to add a contact. Let's see, should we add a contact or should we add an opportunity? Let's add an opportunity because the contact gets created when the appointment is booked, and I don't want to create a duplicate because it won't allow duplicates. So we're going to do that. Lead connector. Connecting your lead connector account to Zapier is also really straightforward, but if you do run into any issues, because there's some weird, there's a couple of weird things that happen, just let me know. I'm just not going to go through it in this video because I already have it connected. So we're going to go first name. So here it's going to let you select everything. So if you remember, it's got first name, last name. If you remember all the form fields, it's just going to link them all in here. So it's really straightforward. Just fill them out as you need. Your name. There we go. Phone number. Where is it? There it is. So the purpose of this Zap is going to be to create that first stage where the form is submitted. If you remember in that pipeline, the form gets submitted, but the appointment's not booked yet. So this enables us to track who submitted the form, but didn't book a call. So that's how we're going to cross-reference that. So that's what I'm doing with this Zap. The next Zap is going to be adding this adding this information that got submitted to an email. And I may either use Zap for that or I may use Go HighLevel's automation for that. We'll see. So address. I believe there was a business address here somewhere. There it is. City. Yes, I'm in Canada. I'm in an itty-bitty town called Chilliwack, which is actually not that itty-bitty anymore. A bunch of people moved here during COVID, and it became kind of, I believe it's like a city now. And I don't like it, so I'm thinking of moving to a smaller town because there's just too many people here now. Postal code. So tag. So this is going to be automation audit form complete. So this is going to, as you notice, I didn't select that from the drop down. I just created one. So that's going to add a tag to the opportunity. Source audit request. Mark as lead. Yes. Those Boolean values, just don't overthink them. It's yes or no. Notes. So here's where we're going to add in, this is the notes field in opportunities. There isn't really any other place to put them. So what I'm going to do is, and as you notice that there's all these these other things in here. So I'm actually going to leave this blank because I created the custom fields already. And Zapier is pulling those custom fields into the form. So we're going to just move past that for a minute. We're going to select our pipeline, automation audit, select the stage. So remember, we're going to be doing the form submitted, assign to user. So it's going to be custom, I think. I may have to assign user in Go HighLevel after the user has been, maybe I'm just going to leave that, I think I'm just going to leave that blank. How many people work in your company? So this is one of those, custom fields that we made, and as you notice, like, it's just porting them in like this. How many people work in your company? It's just porting them in. So if we hadn't have made those custom fields, they wouldn't show up here in Zapier. So so that's, you know, just FYI. Which struggle do you relate to most? Here's another custom field. So this custom field is, you're going to want to make sure that it's selecting all. So here we go. So it's like there's a couple of different selections here. This one was selected, but you're going to want to select all of them because there's a because it's a checkbox where they can select whatever applies to them. They're going to basically check. So onboarding clients takes a long time. So as you notice, like, it's right here. So what's going to show up is this part, not the actual question. So even if I add in like this one, for instance, as you notice that there's no filled in part, so this will actually not show up at all in the what struggle do you relate to most. If I select multiple, then it's going to list them. So you're basically telling the automation, hey, these are the possibilities, check which ones are selected, and then fill the selections if it's there. So we are just going to keep going down the list. And unfortunately it lists them kind of awkwardly. I'm not going to make you watch me do this, so I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I've listed all the options, and when I was going through it, what also happened was I noticed that it also has an option right here, which struggle do you relate to most, which is going to list them comma separated. So it really depends on the formatting that you want in that answer. I prefer them in like a list, but if you don't want to go through and like select every single one like I just did, you can just like select this one and it's just going to list them. I do like it pretty straightforward and easy to read though, so so there we go, there they are in a list. We're going to keep going down the list. So did they show, this is, so here's, it's going to port in all of your custom fields. Not all of your custom fields are going to relate to this, so you may, as you get more advanced, you're going to want to put in, you know, the forms that these fields may relate to. For instance, this doesn't actually relate to this form at all. All I'm doing is I'm porting it in. This is not an after meeting form. So what is your monthly revenue goal? We didn't ask that. Where did you hear about us? We didn't ask that. Currently doing any SEO. Okay, so we did ask this one. So we're just going to go through and find it. I guess I could just search. You guys are probably like, what the hell are you doing? It's because my keyboard actually puts duplicate shit there because I need to clean it and I haven't done that. Full name, it's already asked the full name, so I don't need to. You can go to send. Are you currently running ads? Business website URL. Go. Okay, So this is a document upload. The custom field is document upload, so I shouldn't have an issue with this. Business address, lead email, message, business name. Business name will go into the lead opportunity. I am going to add it in the notes just in case, though. Lead name is the website built in WordPress. Okay, so there we go. We are done filling out all of that. Honestly, that is like the hardest, longest process of this whole thing. So now we're going to send a test. And what this is going to do is it's going to look in the WordPress database for that submission, and it's going to take those answers as we formatted them and as we ported them, and it's going to create an opportunity in that pipeline with the information that we assign. So I'm just going to look at what empty fields that we missed, just to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I need. And I'm pretty sure I'm good to go. So we're going to go ahead and test and continue this. This is why you always want to test with your own information, because if you test with a client's information, it will send them like emails and stuff. So there we go. A contact was sent. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to Go HighLevel and see if it made it properly. Okay, so as you can see, that worked. So it is here in submitted form. This is my pretend lead, and it was, I guess, the time that I had selected ended up being booked with myself, and there's me right there. So the only thing that I noticed, and this is why we always test things, is that even though, let me give it a minute, there we go, even though my tag worked and all of the information got filled out just fine, the appointment is not in there for some strange freaking reason. It should be selected there. There it is. Okay, it did work. So for some weird reason it didn't auto-populate there. So none of my notes carried over into the notes field, and that's because we didn't, in the Zap, in that note field, if we had put everything formatted there, then it will show up here. So that's fine. Where that information ended up would be in here. So if you click on the actual name of the contact, this is going to be all of the information here. So there's my address, there's the website, test.com, we're going to, so it shows different places that I've been. Here's the additional information. So under additional information tab under that contact, it's going to have all of the information that I selected. So, you know, from basically all these different notes to how many people work in my company, what struggle do I relate to most, you know, what's my monthly revenue goal, you know, so this additional information are form fields that I have tested with in the past, as well as the ones we just did. So as you can see, there's a couple of different ones here. Do you have Google Analytics? That was one of the questions we asked in that form. I'm not seeing the do you have WordPress? Maybe I'm just blind. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Okay, so additional information is all going to end up in here, and usually that's where custom field information gets filled out if you don't use the notes section of the opportunities. So yeah, it looks like that worked. So that's perfect. So we have that. We have the form submission goes into Zapier and then gets ported into Go HighLevel working, and then we also built the automation that where it takes that information when they book in the calendar. What it's going to do is cross-reference that information, and it's going to say, hey, we have a duplicate. So if they do end up booking a call, it's going to match their contact information with the information that they submitted on the form. So it's not going to create a duplicate lead. It'll just move that lead from that one stage, the form submitted, to call booked. That's how it's going to work. So yeah, so we've built that out. I believe I am going to leave that there for now. I will go more in depth on emails in a little while, but this is getting a little bit long now. The emails section is really long in itself. So once you have the custom fields in there, basically the email section is just typing out your email body like in templates. Like I would recommend using templates. And then using those custom values that you made and selecting those custom values to pre-fill in the email. And that's how I take the information out of the form. And like once the information is in Go High Level, which it is now, you can use those custom values to take that information, put them in emails to your sales reps or whatever, and say, hey, this is the answer that they responded to on this question, and so that everyone is informed. The next step of this is going to be taking that information that we already have in Zapier, and I'm going to do that in the exact same Zap, and you're going to just put it into ClickUp. And we're going to do that in the exact same way. The only difference is that it's not creating an opportunity or a lead, it's just creating a task with all that information listed out. So I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm getting a little bit tired. So I'm going to, I'll post this video as it is, and we will finish the last half of this a little bit later when we're focused more on ClickUp. But right now, Zapier and Go High Level, hopefully that gives you guys a really good idea of how a form to Zapier to Go High Level works out with when it comes to using WordPress Gravity Forms. And as you saw, like if you have a lead generator like Facebook ads or a traffic source of some kind, this is a really great way of being able to keep track of your leads no matter where they come in from, if they're booking a call or they're submitting a form. So yeah, let me know what kind of cool setups you guys have going on. I'm always interested to hear some pretty neat ideas. And if you have any troubleshooting that you want me to go through, feel free to DM me. We can hop on a call. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks again for watching.